What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 184 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo and NetRush. And today, we're going back to the basics.
Back in time.
Sometimes that's what you should do anyways, just go right back to the basics. But we're going to be talking specifically about PPC basics, Amazon PPC basics. And we're very excited to have our guest on with us, Mandeep Kaur, coming to us from Vancouver, Canada. Is that right, Mandeep?
We call it beautiful British Columbia, but yeah.
Yeah, beautiful British Columbia.
Are you jazz it up a little bit?
Are you with the Chamber of Commerce up there? You got the marketing down pat for British Columbia. That's awesome. Well, we're very, very excited to have you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited.
Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. I guess we should mention you're a seller yourself,
Yes.
and probably tinkering around with PPC all the time. So we'll get down into the weeds on that.
Yeah.
But really, I think to start off, if you could take a few minutes, we'd love to hear your story. Just what got you involved in e-commerce? You know, why'd you choose the Amazon channel, and just how's that whole process been going for you so far?
Yeah, so I'm in my 40s now, and backtrack. I was working in the corporate environment. I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years, and then I went back to working for a company that I really enjoyed doing. However, work-life balance. I have 3 kids, so I always feel like if I was doing well at work, I wasn't doing well at home. So I wanted to do something where I kind of controlled my own schedule, and kind of did my own thing. And I heard some random podcast about side hustles, and the guy was flipping books. And, I didn't think anything of it. And then 6 months later, I was turned down for a promotion because of where I live. They wanted somebody more in the US. And I was pretty upset because I felt that I was a top performer. And I literally went on YouTube and typed in how to sell on Amazon, because I was like, okay, maybe I'll flip books to start.
Mm-hmm.
And that led me down the private label hole. And here I am now. I quit my full-time job in 2020, November. And my husband's last day of work is the 25th of February. So he's going to leave his full-time job now to help out at home and help with the business, especially here in Canada.
That's really cool. So when did you launch your Amazon business? What year?
I guess 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 2 failed products.
Yeah.
Because, you got to fail at something, right?
Yeah.
And nobody admits it, but I do, because I learned a lot. And then I had my last kind of like Hail Mary in January of 2020. And then I put the order in, and then the pandemic hit. And then it just kind of took off. And I felt like that person holding the horse going, oh, what do I do here? Came up with a system and process on how I found the product, and then really dialed in on PPC, because that I knew was going to be very important in my Amazon journey. So I spent a lot of time learning about PPC and testing data and learning about actually the algorithm, but we can get into that. And that was so. Then by Q2, Q3, I launched a bunch of products using the same methodology, and then had replicated my income, and then I knew I needed to leave my full-time job.
So on those first 2 products that failed, it's hard to get rid of those, like first couple products, right? Like you first do them, you're like, I hate to get rid of these because I put so much time and effort into sourcing these and making the listing. But what was it? What was it that made you say, I'm done with it?
Just I wasn't getting sales, and my ACOS was like 120, 150%. And, you jump into Facebook groups and they're like, yeah, that's normal. And it was just so frustrating. And so that's why I really think your PPC's success is based on your product. And I really merge those 2 together when I do like product research. I'm also doing heavy PPC analysis at that time. Yeah, it was hard because you're so emotionally attached, right? Your success is based on your product success. It was like my 4th child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to hit dispose on those units, it was a very humbling experience. A few tears may have been shed. But my husband said to me, because he's a very like to the point man, he said, Mandeep, you got yourself into this mess. You're going to dig yourself out. And it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it was his way of saying, I know you got this. You'll figure it out. And so that's what I did.
It's kind of like a sigh of relief, I would think, right? Like you're kind of like you're pushing it along, and you're like, okay, I can only do so much. And then when you get rid of it, like, hey, I'm done with that past. Let's focus on the future, and I learned my lesson, and let's go full steam ahead.
Yeah, it's got like you have a pit in your stomach, right? Luckily, I didn't lose enough. Like I didn't lose my house, or I hadn't invested that much. But that's a setback for somebody who may not have access to capital, where that's it. Their journey's done. They can't continue. So I always say, like on TikTok, is cash is queen. You need cash in this business, and that's the only way you're going to succeed.
You mentioned your product research method. You can if we touch on that just a little bit, because that has something to do with PPC. Like they all kind of go together. You got product research, you got your listings, and then you got PPC. Like they all kind of go intertwined. On your product research method, touch on that. Like, what's that look like? What do you do there?
I spend a lot of time off Amazon. I sell to a lot of women. So I spend a lot of time analyzing what are women talking about, what's important, what are the new trends that women are into. And even if I just launched a few products last year for men, even though those products are for men, women are buying them, right? I learned that when I was a stay-at-home mom, and I would do like those seminars where cereal companies give you $200 for an hour of your time, and I was the key demographic, somebody who makes a certain amount of money, married with kids, because all the purchasing power is in my hand, right? So I really emphasize, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, Google. Like I spend a lot of time learning about women, and I see this shift now. Of women now just having, for example, more of a voice, whether it be in their career or at home. Well, what does that look like when it comes to products?
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it's just, honestly, trying to find keywords. Because one thing I've learned is you cannot create demand on Amazon.
No, you can't.
You cannot
we are
do
speaking
that.
from experience, right?
Yeah. I'm fine with small demand, and I'm fine with demand that I know is going to grow, because Amazon's a slow process. 4 to 6 months by the time you get your product in, as long as it's willing to grow. Because a lot of people ask me, I do one-to-one coaching. People will say, well, what number should I look at? I'm like, just look at it going up, right? That's all you need to really look at. Is it going up? And there's nothing wrong with starting with a product that only sells 5 units a day. That's success.
Oh yeah. And sometimes that's bad, especially if capital is a problem. You do not want to grow out, faster than you can get capital. That's for sure. But you touched on a really good point about you can't create demand. We see this a lot. It's Amazon is obviously it's an unbelievable platform. Tons of shoppers on there, but it's a pretty hard place to launch like a new invention or something that nobody knows about, or they're not searching about anyway, because of what you're talking about. You can put it there, but nobody's maybe searching for it. Now you may have launched a new invention. You can correct me. But yeah, it's tricky. You can't create that demand on Amazon. You're trying to get in front of search results for sure.
Yeah, so all of my products are from Alibaba. I have not created anything, but what I do create is a level of customization. So if I'm going to be selling, a coffee mug, I don't sell coffee mugs, but if I were selling a coffee mug, you better believe that what's on that coffee mug is going to be speaking to a certain customer and what they're looking for, and looking off Amazon as ideas of what that customer is looking for.
100%. Yeah. Which is exactly what you should be doing, is getting in front of that demand with a product that stands out, a product that's targeted to that audience and differentiated a little bit.
Yeah. And I think people struggle with that because it does require some creativity, right? Like it's kind of like, like, I don't know if you guys have kids.
I do.
Okay. So it's like when my kids were small, I'm like, oh, he's hungry. And my husband's like, how do you know he's hungry? I'm like, I just know.
Yep.
Right? That
Mhm.
intuition. And that can be replicated by spending a lot of time off Amazon and understanding, just what people are talking about and how is society now changing. And for when people say, oh, Amazon's oversaturated. Yeah. You can't sell a garlic press anymore. Like that's, I think Amazon's now transitioned to a new era, like for newer sellers like me, whereas the sellers from even 3 to 4 years ago who were ranking using like, giveaways and stuff, that's just not the way the world works now on Amazon.
Mhm.
So this new era requires a new level of creativity. And I never sell. Here's another thing. I never sell something on Amazon. I'm not a sloppy second. I will never sell a product that's already sold on Amazon. Like a design or whatever, my design will be completely different.
That takes a lot of work, though. That takes a lot of work, I think, on the initial end of figuring out. Do you test that out before you launch? Do you test out different designs or anything like that?
I
Or do you
do.
just go with your gut?
Yeah, I do, because I only will order the minimum order quantity, like 300 units. So going back to the coffee mug, if I think there's a certain, print that I could put on there of, say, female empowerment or something, I'm going to only order 300 units. And even though that might not be the best price-wise, I'm okay with that, because I've had 2 failed products. I would rather have a product that sells out than being stuck with something. Knock on wood, I haven't had to let go of anything really yet. Everything kind of sells. Some sell a little slower than I expected. So I'm like, oh, this market hasn't picked up. I'd rather take my money and do something else with it. But I haven't really had to drop a product yet, except one, which I'll probably get into.
Well, that's good.
Well, let's get into that, because I was going to ask you, the 2 that failed. What do you think? What do you think was the reason? What do you think? You picked a too popular product, or
I was a sloppy second.
Okay.
I was second, and by the time I found the 2 products, there was already about 30 reviews, and by the time you get the product done and get a sample and shipped in, that's a 6-month window, and I could not compete with those competitors. I couldn't gain traction. I was running all the right PPC, but I wasn't getting any sort of organic sales because I wasn't thinking like a customer. Why would the customer buy my product? Because, oh, I put so much hard work into it? No. Because when you think like a customer, when I buy products, I look at reviews, I look at the cost, is it solving my problem, and move on, right?
Mhm.
So now switching it over to thinking like a customer and going, okay, I'm the only option for this problem that you're solving. I get my 300 units in, I run some PPC. I don't go too aggressive in the beginning. I like kind of just, dip my toe and just see how it's going.
Mhm.
You got to get the data, get some ranking. And then once I get usually the first sale, that's an indication that my product design is correct. And obviously I have everything else done, the photos, the listing, all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's no room for error on those, I think, in 2022. And then once I get my first order, I've now moved from, I used to wait until I got my first review before reordering. But now I've grown up a little bit, and, with confidence, with time, I now put the order in going, okay, this product's, it's doing well. And by understanding the algorithm, I run out of stock. I talk a lot about this on Instagram, because what happens is if you're only ordering 300 units, I mean, you're going to run out of stock. It's not the worst thing in the world, because I am the only seller of that design. And because my conversions are high, and the way the algorithm, I believe, is designed, because if I was designing the algorithm, I would push my product in front of everybody else. And I see it day in and day out. Whenever I get back in stock, I run a little bit of PPC and I'm back on the first page.
And what are you doing on the listing? When you make that listing, is it put more like your seed keyword in the title or bullets, or like when you make that listing, what are you making sure to do that, or what are you making sure that it has so that when you do run PPC, it's effective?
I actually, when I do product research, I kind of in Canva, I'm a visual learner. So I put my product and I put in there the 3 to 5 keywords I'm going to run. And I make sure they're in my listing, obviously in the title. But I also want to make sure that my photos represent what I'm targeting. I'm much older than you gentlemen, but I used to watch Who's the Boss, and Angela had an advertising agency, and she would run a storyboard. That's how I learned how to do storyboards. And all my pictures tell a story that resonates with the PPC. So I kind of make it all cohesive that, oh, it makes sense that, I'm running a phrase campaign on this word and my photos resonate that in some form.
That's important. That's big.
Oh yeah. We see a lot, people launch products and they just cast this wide net, there's just no specific targeting. So a lot of times you lose people there. They're looking for that product that works for them. And if you got them there and then now your title and your pictures, it's like, oh, this is universal. It works for everybody. They lose them. That's a really interesting point. So it sounds like your PPC strategy is also very targeted and not wide, this is going to be really fun to dive into the PPC part for sure. Because what's the first thing you do? So you launch the product, you got everything set up, and now you launch your PPC. What kind of campaign are you running initially?
Yeah, and this goes back to then product research, whether I'm going to start with a variation. Is there room for a variation? I'll do, because I have brand registry, I can run some product collection ads. I'm a fan of those, especially if you have a variation. So if I know that the product collection, so let me go back. When I figure out, okay, this is the product I want to order because I've run the numbers, I do test campaigns and I just go, okay, well, what is this going to cost me? What is this going to cost me? And if I know the product collection ad is only going to be 25 cents a click based on what Amazon's recommending, I figure, you know what, I'm going to come in with 2 variations and just test it and just see how it goes. So I love video ads. Video ads are still fairly inexpensive compared to regular campaigns. And it could be something simple like just some slides that I put together. It might not be this big production. I don't spend a lot like for launch, but because I speak to the customer, I convert. So those, I love phrase campaigns. I love a nice low bid auto. I love a low bid broad. I do a couple of those because over time, I know those will give me good sales. But I try to focus just on the handful of keywords that I know I'm going to convert on and not waste, this is my pie, right? I need to stay here and not try to be like, okay, I want to turn this into, this, because I'm not going to convert there. And why am I going to waste money there?
So when you're launching a product, when the product's live, you're doing a combination of a sponsored brand video ad, sponsored brand, quote unquote, headline ad, where you're showing more of your variations, and then you're adding sponsored product in a broad and phrase match type of scenario. Is that right?
Not necessarily. A broad, I'll do a low bid broad.
Okay.
I'm a real big fan of phrase campaigns. I
Gotcha.
feel like I have a lot of control there. I'm not a fan of broad campaigns on their own, because what am I doing keyword research for if I need to pay to have Amazon to tell me where I'm going to convert on, right? And I'm not too concerned about those, couple of sales I might lose out on, because I need to focus on the ones that are going to generate me a lot more sales.
And you're just keeping that broad there just to find those that fall through the cracks. Just kind of get those as you can get.
Yeah, but very low bid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, like a small, it's just fun little sales to get once in a while.
Like what kind of bid would you consider a low bid?
Like 5 to 10 cents.
Okay. Perfect.
And so you sell both in Canada and the US, is that correct?
Yeah. So last year I started selling accidentally in Canada because one, in the US, there were a lot of restrictions with inventory, and it was really frustrating because I couldn't even cross the border to like, you know, get my own warehouse space, and my 3PL was just not the greatest experience. So I was like, and at the same time, I was getting some NARF sales. And what people were paying in Canada for my product, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, because it just puts a random number there, right? And I said, oh, hey, ding, 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 ding. I need to bring all my US-based SKUs into Canada. And then this year, nine products I'm launching just brand new to Canada. And then last night, I finalized another 5, just so I can keep my husband busy, because I need.
So those listening, NARF is the North America Remote Fulfillment, where you can usually just sell in those marketplaces, Canada or Mexico, and just use Amazon's fulfillment centers to fulfill those orders. It's pretty good, actually. It's a really good system.
It is, and that's where I learned that there was demand for that in Canada. A smaller demand, but still demand, and a highly profitable demand. Because what I'm selling in the US for $50, they're paying almost $100 Canadian here.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Why wouldn't I just ship it straight to Canada and bank that myself?
Yeah. Now back to the PPC. When you do the phrase, are you taking anything out of a phrase and putting it in an exact match? What's that process look like?
It really depends. It really depends. I know I hate that answer, but it really does depend, because how, like, if I have a product that has 6 variations, I'm okay with just keeping it as the phrase for my ranking strategy, because what I learned through that campaign is there's just so many of those phrase type keywords. Whereas in some markets or some niches, I know just turning on the exact campaign is going to get me to where I'm at. But now I really just keep phrase, and then obviously when I get ranked on the first page, I'll still lower the bid, but I'll still keep my PPC on. I'll never turn it off.
And so what about like product targeting? So you got the low bid auto going, which would be doing it in there. But do you set up separate campaigns for competitors' ASINs?
You know what? This is so funny. My products do not perform well under product targeting. There, I said it.
You know what? I'm with you. I think it's tough, right? Like the ACOS doesn't really perform well. You just waste ad spend. I think you're just better off focusing on keywords.
Yeah, I don't know why. Every PPC expert tells you got to do product targeting. One, mine weren't performing well, and it doesn't mean I have a bad product. I mean, I know I have a good product and I convert on my phrase campaigns. But 2, it doesn't help with any sort of algorithmic ranking, in my opinion. Like, it's very low on the totem pole. So not only am I spending more, but I'm not getting any juice for it. Forget it.
Yeah.
So
this is interesting, actually, because if it was like a Me Too product, or, you know, one of 1,000, and there was some big differentiator, like you're $10 cheaper than everybody else, that's where product targeting works really well.
Yeah.
If it's a similar or same product, but if you're doing all the things you're doing, where you're targeting your audience through keywords, because those keywords are specific to what they're looking for, then I can see if there's no other products really like it, then all those clicks are just people just taking a peek at it. But that's not why they had their wallet out on the table.
And it feels like a waste of ad spend. Just to kind of back up here, like to Mandeep's point, like you're spending $50 a day on a product targeting campaign, and it gets you 2 sales. You could do $50 a day to your sponsored product ads, get some keywords, and get better ranking. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. Like, you're like, pick which one. But I think if you're on a budget, and PPC is getting expensive, just get the keywords going, right? And then if you want to expand that, look at your auto campaign or something and see where you're converting on your ASINs, and maybe just target a few of them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Do you do any sponsored display?
Sponsored display, the on the top?
Well, the below the, like, add the carts, or like the off of Amazon, like IMBD, any of that kind of stuff. No.
I think I could sum this up really, but this is so good for everybody listening, is keep it simple.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, keep it simple.
80-20 rule. I mean, that 80% of your sales are going to come from just a few things, just a few targets. Why not just throw everything in there? Otherwise, you're spending an enormous
It's
amount
the
of time.
shiny object.
Oh yeah. And there's a million. If you go on YouTube and start typing in PPC strategy, you're going to go down a rabbit hole of about a million different concepts, and all of them can be really complex and involve a lot of stuff. But really the main thing is if you're selling a jump rope, maybe you should target jump rope on Amazon, and that's where you're going to get the majority of your sales from. So keeping it simple, I think, is also hard for a lot of new sellers because they get that FOMO. Like, if I'm not advertising somewhere, I'm going to be missing out on potential sales, and it can be detrimental.
But it's not about, so what I've learned through this journey, it's not about revenue. It's about profitability for me now.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I do this full time, and now that, my husband's leaving his job, and I have kids, I have bills to pay. It's about, it's not about revenue, because I don't know what their ad spend is. And that's what I keep telling people when I coach them. They're like, well, this person, I go, you don't know what they're spending on ads. So my top product, I know, it's between me and I think it's a him. So it's me and him. We call the shots. Everybody else is like factory sellers. We're the differentiated products. And he's stuck at $25.99. I'm stuck at $25.99. I want to increase my price because shipping's more, but because he's not, I can't. It's just
who's the first to flinch?
Yeah. Yeah. So, that factors in on how much I'm willing to spend now on PPC and go after broader keywords. Cause I'm like, shipping's more, and I can't increase my price because I know, the customer might go, oh, what if I go, that. So pricing strategy plays a part in understanding PPC also, and how you're going to convert.
How often are you optimizing? Let's say you got some campaigns going and you need to optimize some bids. How often do you do that?
Mondays, once a week.
Mondays,
I take a look. Yeah.
And what's that look like? What are you doing there?
So I take a look at my current campaigns that I run on. What am I running? And then I reverse ASIN my products to see, are there any new keywords that maybe I'm on the second page that, have been uncovered in the last, little bit that maybe I want to run some strategies on. So I'll do that. Take a look, obviously, at my keyword ranking, make sure everything's good. And then reverse ASIN my competitors just to see, am I missing out on anything? Are there any new keywords? That's the thing. When you are entering kind of a newer market or a newer niche or a newer, product or a product idea, you kind of have to see where other keywords might be hidden that you want to run ads on.
When you said your brand registry, are you using any brand analytics constantly, like checking on that? Or what's your experience with brand analytics?
I do poke around and I take a look there, but I don't spend a lot of time in there.
Got it.
Maybe I should.
Well, I'm just curious. It's kind of a newer area, right? And then they got this product opportunity explorer now. It's kind of a newer area. I just don't just getting feedback. I don't know if people use it enough or if they just used it and they didn't see good results. I'm just curious, really.
I do see who's converting high on certain keywords. I keep an eye on that, but no, I haven't used the product opportunity. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's lay this out because I want to get back to the basics and just see the full design. So you launch the product, you launch your low bid auto, low bid broad. In that broad, okay, how many targets do you have in that campaign? Is it just like the 4 or 5 that you are going after, or one?
So here's another thing I do. When I run campaigns, it's one phrase per campaign.
Okay.
One broad phrase.
Yeah.
So it might be the same phrase that's in the phrase campaign, and then in the low bid broad, not just a regular broad, low bid broad. And I only do one campaign. I run about then 3 to 4 phrase campaigns, but they all each have only one keyword. And the reason I do that is then I have full control and I'm able to analyze the data, and I know it's real. Like here, This was the word I went after. Amazon showed me, and my budget might only be $20 per campaign. Like I'm not spending a ton, but at least then I can decide, okay, this is right. This is cohesive. This is working. I do not put more than one phrase in a campaign.
On your variations, what do you do with your variations?
Then I'll create separate campaigns for them.
Each variation has its own campaign.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you use the same phrase in those as well?
No, I will add a spin on
like color, size.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But it's not overwhelming because you're not going after hundreds of targets. So let's add this up. So new product launch, you're talking about the one auto, maybe 3-4 broad with individual targets in each one.
Low bid. Auto and broad are both low bids.
And then the phrase is you've got the 3 or 4 targets each in the campaign, and you're optimizing those bids for ranking stability wherever you are with that product.
Yeah. When I'm like if I've launched a product on Monday, I'll probably take a look at it Wednesday and then Friday, again, just to optimize, to make sure, I'm really honing in on where Amazon is showing me. But then otherwise it's just once a week maintenance.
On that phrase match, what's your starting bid on the keyword that you put in? Is it the suggested bid? Or are you just throwing a random dollar amount out there?
Now keep in mind, when I do product research, I have an idea of what this is going to cost me. And I'll start at kind of the mid bid, and then I'll check on it in an hour because I'm like, oh, I should get a couple of impressions. I know there's such a lag with Amazon and their advertising and giving us information. And I'll check on it, and then maybe I'll go in another quarter, another 50 cents, and then, obviously search and make sure that I can see my product. But yeah, I tend to, I'm not overly aggressive because I don't want my budget to run out by noon. I'm okay with being shown later on in the evening. I haven't seen a loss in sales from, having campaigns that have accidentally run out of budget by noon and, missing out on sales versus the evening sales. Because if I lower my budget, Amazon will still eventually show me.
Got it. So you're constantly checking. When you start a new campaign, you're starting with the bid, you're waiting an hour, and you're seeing where you're at on placements on that specific term. And then if you're on page 2, you're increasing the bid to see if you get more impressions. And you're constantly doing this to start out. Do you do up and down only, fixed on the bid strategy? Down only?
Down only.
Do you do any top of search multiplier? Man, no. You keep it really basic. I like it.
Is that bad? I don't know.
No, it's not. I think it's working.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with outsourcing. It's just like I think with the frustration of PPC, and I know this because I help people with PPC, there's just so much information and there's so much, you need to do this. It's like, no. Just keep it simple. Couple of strategies, get to the first page, move on to the next product, right? Let's get another product going in.
I like it. There's a lot to that as well, because a lot of times what will happen is if you're doing too many things, you have no idea what contributed to the increase or the decrease. You see that a lot of times people will change a listing and they'll change their image and their title. And so like, which one did it? Like, how do you know? And so when you keep it simple, it allows you to really understand the impact of what you're doing. That's really interesting.
Kind of learned that in grade 10 science, right?
Yeah.
Just controlled, right?
Keep it
Is
simple.
This working? Okay, yeah. Now let's move. And then obviously, once I'm on the first page, I lower my bid. I'm fine with being shown twice on the first page because I know the customer is only going to click my ad or my organic sale once. But I'm fine with running campaigns, but they're going to be lower bid because I've already converted on that. And I feel like whoever designed the algorithm, wants that 15% commission. And so that makes algorithmic sense to still push me at a lower cost per click because I'm going to generate that 15% for Amazon.
Yeah. Well, you see that all the time. I mean, if your product's hyper relevant to that keyword and it's really converting, you'll get the cheapest CPC of anybody, no matter what you're bidding. So it gives you a little control there for sure. I love it. Keep it simple. I think this is actually gonna be really good for everyone listening because people can get really.
What do you do on branded terms? This is always a debate, right? Like on my brand name, I don't need to bid on my brand name because people are going to find me organically already. Number one, like, are you doing a branding campaign?
I am, because I discovered in one of my campaigns, I was reading the keywords, somebody looked for my brand. I was like, what? Somebody actually looked for my brand. And then sometimes in the customer comments, it's like, when are you back in stock for this product? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I feel so popular. I run just a small, because I don't think I have any competition, or I hope I don't. Just a small phrase campaign across just for my brand. That's
and
it.
you put all
higher bid.
I think it's like 25 cents.
Wow.
Wow. I don't know.
You don't have any competition yet.
Well, I don't think there's a level of sophistication maybe in the niches I pick that I'm in. I don't know. I know there's factory sellers, but it comes down to the product, and if you are one of many, you cannot, it's so hard to stand out and get ranking. And I think because my products are different or a different design, it's easier for me to run these smaller little campaigns and still gain traction.
I think we have to do another episode with you down the road and really focus on your product research, because this is fascinating.
I'm sure it's really simple.
Yeah,
it is. It is.
That's a compliment. I mean, I love that you're just like, no, I don't do any of that. I just keep it, basic, down only, zeros, minimum bid, just keep it super simple.
Because I have run those campaigns, and if I'm not converting and just spending money, like, that's just, no, I don't want to do that. You got to follow the data, right?
Oh yeah.
I think that's important. Follow the data.
It is. We talk. I mean, Chris and I, we talk to sellers all the time who are looking to get onto Celoza's platform, and they'll come on and we're onboarding them, and their goal is to lower their ACOS, and you could look at all their targets, and you could inside Celoza you can filter by let's show me the targets that have 0 conversions. They'd be like there'll be like 1,000 of them, and you're like, you spent $5,000 last month on keywords that had 0 conversions, like.
And then when you pause it, it's like, no, don't pause. I'm like, look, it didn't convert.
Yeah, you want to lower
it's time to let it go.
Lower your ACOS right there. All you gotta do is pause all those. You'll have the exact same amount of sales, and you'll have spent half the money. There's your ACOS lowering. Speaking of ACOS, though, when you're launching, is there an ACOS that you're comfortable with? Are you okay? Do you not care until you get to page 1? What's your thought process? Because a lot of people get scared by ACOS. Like they see it and they're petrified if it's higher than their break-even point or whatever. What's your thought process early on for that product?
I'm okay with a slightly higher ACOS, in comparison to my net profit. So I'm okay with that, but it's not going to get too crazy, like 60, 70%. And that might be just because I haven't had the time to go in and filter out some keywords where I was like, oh, damn, I spent $10 on this. What was I thinking? Gosh, I'm okay with that, but it has to also bring me keyword ranking, which I watch very closely. So, but nothing, I'm not doing the 120 because I'm not in those. It comes down to my product, right? But yeah, 50. This last product, one product I launched in the summer, I think I actually made money. I had 300 units. I made money in my 300 units. That was like a first time. Like usually break even is now where I'm at. In Canada, I'm making money probably the second day. Like the advertising ad spend in Canada is significantly less. So it's easier to rank in Canada. So it makes my life easier.
That's real nice. And I was telling Dustin before we started, I just got into Canada, so that's going to be an eye opener. That's going to be great. The whole importing thing was a whole issue. I had to figure it all out. But when you look at your keywords, how many is there a certain number of clicks or spend before you pause a keyword, or before, do you make any like negative exacts, anything like that?
If it's because I run phrase campaigns, so that allows me a certain level of control. If I feel like that keyword is like not even relevant, like what the hell, Amazon, yeah, I will put it in negative. Once I'm ranked, I'll just lower my bid. That's it.
How far? Just slowly down, or
just slowly down, and then I know maybe I'm still getting some clicks, so I'm okay with that because I'm okay with being shown twice on my main keywords. So until I hit kind of my sweet spot.
This is great.
So let me ask you some seasonality questions. Like, so Prime Day, fourth quarter, are you doing anything like to get those things moving? Nothing? Yeah. This is like elementary.
The worst person to have on a PPC.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a good like testimony. Like, look, you can just keep it super, super basic. And all these flashy things are just causing headaches.
Never run coupons. Don't do anything for Prime. I don't sell a lot of. My products don't generally sell in Q4, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
So I tend to kind of lower my stock by October and then time it so my shipment comes in by late December, just to avoid the Q4 storage fees also. I'm okay with that. I think this year in Canada, I'm going to launch some Q4 products. But yeah, I never run coupons. I don't do any of that. It's my product speaks for itself.
I think this is a breath of fresh air for a lot of people.
Me too. I feel good. I feel like a weight was taken off my shoulders. Like, yeah, okay, just keep it simple, right?
Well, because what I've learned in coaching is that, it comes back to just when you have the same thing, pages and pages of it, then you have to run coupons. Then you have to be like, buy me. I'm like, no, this is me, kind of like the way I am. This is me. This is who I am. You like it, take it. You don't, I'm okay.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it because I'm still going to make money somehow.
So simple. Okay, you mentioned coaching. Anybody who's listening right now, if they're interested in talking to you, how do they reach out to you for coaching? Is this something you do often?
I actually just started it because I started an Instagram page just to kind of document my journey. And then from there, I just started getting traction on like PPC campaigns and just sharing what I learned, because I feel like a lot of people gatekeep a lot. Nobody really tells you everything. And I get that, I gatekeep a lot too, but like just to help that kind of little seller, just to get to that little next step. And then from there, people started reaching out saying, hey, can you help me with PPC, or can you help me with product research and all that sort of stuff? And I kind of, with working by yourself, it does get really quiet sometimes.
Yep.
My husband is not involved in my business at all, like nothing. So it's nice to connect with people in that space. So I actually enjoy coaching for, a couple of different reasons. And I also think people, especially women, like to be coached by other women, and just finding that space. And I was really impacted by everything going on in the last 2 years in North America. And I was like, you know what? I think there should be more women and people of color in this space. So I started TikTok in January, and I share tips, just Amazon tips. And I have like 19,000 followers on TikTok.
Dang. Well, we put your handle in the description.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a lot more after this.
Yeah.
Well, I like the one-to-one because there's so much general advice given that, when I tried applying that general advice, it didn't work for me. Like the product targeting campaign, right? But it didn't work for me. So I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? It's like, no, you know what? If you look at the product, the niche, the competition, your keywords, your ranking, your price, like all of those have to be factored in.
Yeah.
And people don't factor it in enough because we're promised how easy this business is.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie. But you're doing a pretty good job of keeping it simple and easy. So that's impressive. But clearly, it starts with the product for you. If you're selling protein powder, we use that a lot. You need a massive budget, and you're going to need to throw every potential advertising tactic at that. And your expectations are going to be completely different as opposed to selling, stuff like you're selling. And this is the system that works for your products.
Well, if I were to sell protein powder, I would go after a certain demographic. Maybe it's over 40 women.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
I wouldn't just sell protein powder. It'd be for a very specific niche. And as long as I can find, there's times I hop on in Helium 10 and I just look for words. What are people searching for? And how can I bring a product? So if I found, protein powder with collagen in it, I don't know if that exists because over 40 were wanting to take collagen. And if that's something, then I'd be like, oh, people are searching for it. There's 3 to 5 keywords that I can run campaigns on. I'm going to develop this product. That's it.
It's a good tip right there.
I know.
Niche down,
Oh,
find
yeah.
your customer avatar and target them.
Oh, yeah.
Simple.
I don't even do like any external influencers. Like,
Amazing.
I don't do any of that.
Amazing.
Simple.
I like it though. But clearly you're having success and clearly you enjoy sharing the journey, which is great. That's what I love about this space. Chris and I talk about this all the time. This is a business that there is a lot of information out there, and there are a lot of people who are successful who are willing to just give out their playbook. And if that works, and that's what's nice is you really can learn this business. You can bootstrap it and get going for sure, especially if people follow your TikTok and Instagram, which real quick, I mean, we'll put it in the description, but Instagram, what's your handle? So people can find.
Oh gosh, you know what? I had to just change it. I think it's like, I'll put it in the description.
Okay, perfect.
Back to the basics 101.
Yeah, right.
E-commerce _ Mandeep, I think, and then Mandeep K FBA on TikTok. Yeah. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, everyone look in the description and you can find it. But Mandeep, thanks so much for joining us today. This has been great. That hour went by real fast.
That actually went by really fast. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I hope I provided some information.
A ton. It was great.
But yeah, I mean, PPC starts with product research, guys.
Yeah. But the big takeaway is keep it simple. 80-20. You don't need to focus on everything all at once. That's for sure. Just find that right product and set up those simple campaigns to get you started. So it was great.
And get onto the first page and move on to the next one.
Yep. Rinse and repeat, right?
Yep.
Love it. Well, thanks, Mandeep, so much. Again, we'll get you back on. We'll talk a little bit more about product research or something in the future. But everyone, make sure you go check her out on all of her socials, Insta and TikTok. Great tips. And tune in when we get you back on. So thanks again.
Sounds good.
And thanks everyone for tuning into this. If you like content like this, if you like listening to cool people like Mandeep share their story and their tactics, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you listen to. You can also see the live streams on all of Solozo's social channels. So go there and make sure you subscribe and follow those as well. And additionally, if you are struggling with your PPC, you got a lot going on or it's taking up too much of your time and you want to try to automate some of that process, you can automate a strategy just like Mandeep laid out, and you won't have to go in and make the bid adjustments and all that stuff. You can do that through Solozo. We'd love to talk to you about how we can help you with that. So go to solozo.com. You can book a demo. You'll chat with Chris or myself. We'll talk about anything. Obviously, we love talking about Amazon, but we'll also show you how Solozo can automate a lot of that process for you. All right, solozo.com. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Mandeep, for joining us. We'll see you all